Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the report with me, Yasmin Khatun. As a torrential monsoon continues in its third day in the Indian region of Kashmir, residents say they have been abandoned by local authorities. Flamina Jambalvo has more.
Torrential monsoon rainfall has hit the Jammu and Kashmir region of the Indian subcontinent. The heavy rain began early on Tuesday, causing flash flooding and a series of landslides. In India's Jammu region, a border security officer was among 6 people killed as 23 villages in the region were flooded. In Riyasi district, a landslide killed 5 people, of which 3 children. The Indian Army has immediately moved in deploying rescue operations in floods-affected regions.
Especially Naushera, Poonch, Thana Mandi और आपका राजौरी सेक्टर में जहां भी हमारे लोग तैनात है, हमारे तरफ से लोगों को सुरक्षित जगह में ले जाया गया है और साथ ही साथ जो भी मेडिकल एड्स हमसे संभव हुआ है उनको दिया गया है.
Residents in the Srinagar city said villages were inundated and maroon people were yet to get any government aid. According to local people, there has hardly been any rescue operations yet. A resident, Ziaj Ahsan Beg, asked provincial government's intervention in the matter.
बहुत खराब है इस टाइम कश्मीर की. यहाँ से हाई लेवल ऊपर से पानी आ गया है, लेकिन माल जान का बहुत नुकसान हो रहा है. यहाँ पर कभी एक्सीडेंट हो रहे हैं, कभी तो यहाँ देखिए हाई फ्लाइट भी कैंसिल हो गई है. तो अभी बारिश थमने का नाम नहीं ले रही है. तो बहुत 20 से ऊपर से ज़्यादा मर गए यहाँ पर. इसलिए गवर्नमेंट से अपील है कि वो इसकी पूरी तहकीकात करे, इस पर थोड़ा सा कंट्रोल करिए.
The Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir said authorities are doing the best they can to cope with the situation.
खतरे के लेवल से ऊपर पानी चढ़ा हुआ है. पानी जब उतरना शुरू हो जाएगा तब हमें पता चलेगा. कई जगहों पे पुल बह गए हैं, घरों को नुकसान हुआ है. कश्मीर के साइड तो जानी नुकसान नहीं, लेकिन जम्मू साइड रिपोर्ट्स आ रही हैं कि कोई 7-8 लोगों के डेथ्स की खबर आ रही है.
More than 120 buildings have been damaged or destroyed across Jammu in the last 48 hours. Flood alert warnings have been issued by authorities across the region. People living in the areas threatened by flooding have been instructed to leave their homes. Although details of the flooding have emerged solely from Indian-controlled parts of the region, it is likely that Pakistan-controlled area will also have suffered extensive flooding. In mid-August, the same region was hit by floods which left at least 8 people dead and destroyed more than 1,500 homes. With experts predicting more heavy rain in the coming days, the pressure on local authorities to intervene rises to avoid more lives being lost. Flamina Jambalvo, The Report.
I'm joined now in the studio by Sanaah Sultan, General Secretary of the Kashmir Institute for International Affairs. Welcome, Sanaah. Thank you very much for joining us today. Now, we've seen horrible scenes in Kashmir. We've seen water come up to incredible heights. Why hasn't there been more of an effort from the local authorities?
It's been raining there continuously for the past 3 days now, and the local authorities have done very little. It's the local people who've been out on the streets using their own vehicles to transport people from where they've been stranded to local hospitals. It's local people who have opened up kitchens outside hospitals to feed the people who are injured, and the local authorities have done very little. So I'm not entirely sure why that is, but it's not completely unexpected.
Okay, so what are the immediate challenges that the local people are actually facing?
There's many regions in Kashmir which have been completely submerged underwater, and in those areas there's people who have not got access to clean water. They can't leave those areas. There's a certain place called Tosa Maidan in Kashmir where the entire village has been flooded. Over 500 people are still missing. So the immediate challenges are finding these people, moving people who are stranded to safe areas, transporting people to hospitals, transporting people to safer hospitals, providing clean water, medicine, food.
So if enough isn't done to help these people now, what are the longer-running consequences, or what could be the longer-running consequences?
Well, there has been so much destruction because of what's happened there, so the longer consequences would, of course, be kind of medical issues because of the lack of clean water. There's so many people now who have been made homeless because of the flooding. There's other hospitals which have been destroyed. The infrastructural damage is huge.
Now, this is the second flood in 2 months now. So what sort of infrastructural development does need to take place in order to stop this sort of damage from taking place?
Well, it's the worst flood that's happened in 22 years in Kashmir. So it's not something which is faced very often in the region. But when it is, the authorities need to be more prepared as to how to look after the regions closer to the rivers, those places where houses are built on floodplains. Those areas need to be more developed and made more prepared for situations like this.
So when you talk about development, what can they and should they be doing?
They should be placing measures in order to improve things when situations like this occur. Like, for example, today there are students from universities in Kashmir who are going to the flood-stricken areas to provide aid, to transport people to safer areas, and these things should be put in place by the local authorities. That's something which they should have thought about before this occurred.
Okay, now I know you said it doesn't happen very often, but of course this has happened now twice in 2 months. Is this something that maybe can be expected? Is something that seems becoming much more frequent?
Well, the local authorities in the region have a huge role to play in the ecology of the region as well. So this is kind of a consequence of global warming and much larger issues in the region, and the authorities need to take more control of things such as forest fires, such as pollution from tourism, and various other issues such as deforestation which are happening in the region, because the ecological impact of this is huge, as we've seen in the last few days in Kashmir.
Can you tell me a bit about the ecological impact now? What about international bodies and what role do they play in what's taking place?
Well, Kashmir is a region of the world which is very difficult for international organisations to access, which is part of the difficulty with regards to when situations like this occur in Kashmir, because international charities who want to do relief work in Kashmir can't access Kashmir, and it's the same with NGOs around the world who are trying to work on the ecological aspects as well. It's very much something which has to be taken into control by those who administrate the region, more so than international bodies.
So do local authorities need to do more in terms of research on ecological issues?
Yes, I think definitely ecological issues need to be looked into much deeper by the local authorities, and kind of the concerns of the residents in regards to these issues also needs to be taken into account.
Are they receiving the support that they need, though? Local authorities may say they're not receiving the support that they need from the national government or international bodies.
Well, like I said about international bodies, it's a very difficult area of the world to access, but with regards to the rest of kind of the Indian government, etc., it's highly possible that the Kashmiri authorities aren't receiving enough help from the state. But for the Kashmiri people, it's very important to note that they are in a very dire situation, and the local authorities have done nothing to support them.
Back to the Kashmiri people, what does this mean now for them, the people that are there on the ground? How soon can we expect for the flooding to be cleared up? What sort of what will be needed in order to clear the floods up?
I mean, yesterday there was a report which said that they expect 72 hours more of rainfall, which is 3 days, which is a huge amount. But alhamdulillah, today at 2 p.m. the rain did stop. So they're hoping that the waters will recede and things will begin to improve. And after the waters do recede, there are houses which have been totally taken away by the water, other houses which have been destroyed. There are hospitals which have been destroyed. People's livelihoods have been completely destroyed. There's bridges in Kashmir which have been taken by the water, and all of these kind of infrastructural issues will have to be looked into, and also the medical situation will have to be assessed, as will the sustainability of people's livelihood with regards to food and clean water.
Well, thank you so much, Sanaah, for joining us for that. We're going to go for a break now. Join us for the second half of the programme, when we'll be looking at more of today's top stories, as well as media coverage on the beheading of an 82-year-old woman in North London. More of those after the break.